Imagine walking into, like, your absolute favorite neighborhood store. You know the one, right?
Yeah, the one you go to all the time.
Exactly. You've been there 100 times. You walk up to the entrance, and the signs are, well, they're exactly the same.
Right.
The familiar paint is on the walls. The layout of the aisles is identical. The lighting is just, it's exactly how you remember it.
It feels like home, basically.
Spot on. So you walk in with your guard completely down. But what you don't know, what you couldn't possibly know just by glancing at the storefront, is that the real store actually moved out yesterday.
Wow. Okay.
And overnight, a highly coordinated team of pickpockets came in, and they built a perfect, completely hollow movie set replica of that store.
That is terrifying.
Right. You are browsing the aisles, feeling totally safe, completely unaware that you've just stepped onto a stage designed for one single purpose, which is to empty your pocket.
It's a really chilling scenario because it relies entirely on weaponizing your own comfort against you. You aren't being mugged in a dark alley. You are being robbed in a place where your brain has already decided, hey, I am perfectly safe here.
Yes, exactly. And that scenario isn't just like some hypothetical thriller plot. It is happening millions of times a day right now on the device sitting in your pocket.
It really is.
So welcome to this deep dive. Today, we are cracking open a fascinating and honestly incredibly practical set of notes, simply titled Day 24 Online Shopping Frauds.
This is a great set of notes.
Yeah.
Really eye-opening.
It totally is. And our mission for this deep dive is straightforward but vital. We want to equip you with the mental tools to spot the invisible traps hiding right there in your digital shopping cart.
Right.
But more importantly, we are going to get into the mechanics of exactly why our brains are so susceptible to falling for them.
And right out of the gate, the notes challenge a very deeply ingrained assumption we all have about cybercrime.
But they definitely do.
Because when we hear online fraud or cyber attack, our minds immediately go to a very specific, like Hollywood-style image.
Oh, absolutely. The hacker in the darkroom.
Right.
The hoodie pulled up, furiously typing lines of green code on a black terminal screen. You picture someone actively breaking through firewalls, overriding mainframes with, I don't know, brute force algorithms.
Exactly, yeah. And then the cybersecurity expert in the glowing control room points at a server log and says, there it is. There's the breach.
Like a movie scene.
Right. It feels highly technical. It feels binary.
Yeah.
The system is either broken or it's not broken. It's machine against machine.
Yeah.
And in a strange sort of paradoxical way, that idea is incredibly comforting to us.
Comforting. Wait, how so? That sounds stressful.
Well, because if the threat is purely technical, then the solution is purely technical.
Ah, I see.
We like to think the threat is just a malicious line of code that a good antivirus software update can simply block. It absolves us of responsibility, really.
Right. If we get hacked, well, the firewall failed. The software wasn't strong enough.
Exactly. But when you step into the world of modern online shopping frauds, as outlined in this material, that comforting illusion totally shatters.
Because it's not about the software.
No, not at all. That high-tech firewall is completely useless here.
Yeah.
Because this threat landscape isn't technical, it's entirely human.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because it's psychological warfare, essentially.
It is.
The core premise laid out in these notes is that the greatest misconception about online fraud today is that it's a technical problem.
Right.
Scammers do not hack systems anymore. It's too hard, it's too expensive, and the systems are just, well, they're too secure.
Exactly. Companies spend billions on those systems.
Right. Instead, they hack human psychology. They are meticulously designing these traps to trick you into paying for something that either doesn't exist or just isn't what you expect.
And they use 3 incredibly powerful psychological levers to do it.
Urgency, low prices, and trust manipulation.
Spot on.
Yeah.
And that last lever, trust, is the absolute bedrock of this entire ecosystem.
It really is.
If we connect this to the bigger picture of how commerce actually works, trust is the fundamental currency.
Right.
Before a single dollar or rupee ever changes hands, trust has to be established. You have to believe that the merchant is actually going to give you the item you are paying for.
But building trust takes time.
A lot of time.
It takes years of reliable service, millions in marketing, good reviews, and quality products. Scammers don't have years.
Precisely. They are operating on a compressed timeline. They want your money today.
Right.
So rather than spending a decade building their own trustworthy brand from scratch, they take a massive shortcut.
The movie set.
Exactly. They simply steal the mask of a brand you already implicitly trust. They hijack the equity of household names.
Which brings us directly to the first major category detailed in the notes, which is the digital clones or fake websites.
Yeah, this is where that hollow movie set analogy really comes into play.
We are talking about fraud operations, where they create exact, pixel-perfect clones of trusted brands. The notes specifically call out giants like Amazon, Nike, and Zara.
Right, huge names.
And the fraudster's goal isn't to build a similar site. It's to make the fake site look entirely indistinguishable from the real thing at a casual scrolling glance.
They want to completely bypass your critical analysis before it even boots up.
Yeah.
And the source material outlines exactly how they execute this, starting with the very foundation of the site, which is the URL.
Right, the web address.
Exactly. They use highly deceptive web addresses. You might think you're navigating to Amazon.com to check out a sale,
Right.
but if you look closely at the address bar, the URL actually reads amaz0-sale.com,
Wow.
or instead of Nike.com, you are actually on Nike-clearance.store.
Which, I mean, it seems so obvious when you say it out loud, letter by letter. Like, obviously, a May 0 with a 0 is fake.
Yeah, right.
But what's wild is how easily this slips past us in the real world. I mean, why do we fall for something like a 0 instead of an O?
It's a great question.
Why doesn't our brain immediately throw up a massive red stop sign?
Well, because your brain is an incredibly efficient machine. And if
Where, as long as the first and last letters of a word are correct, the middle letters can be totally jumbled and you can still read the sentence perfectly. Our brains just fill in the blanks based on context.
Exactly. The critical thinking part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, which handles deep analysis and skepticism, is essentially told to stand down.
Wow.
Because the pattern recognition part of your brain has already cleared the room and declared it safe.
And once that guard is down, the scammers just double down on the illusion.
They absolutely do.
The notes highlight that these aren't clunky 1990s-style scam sites with broken images and bad formatting.
Not at all.
They feature highly professional designs. They use stolen, high-resolution logos pulled directly from the real brand's media kits.
Right. Perfectly trisque images.
They have perfectly placed promotional banners. They even go as far as fabricating incredibly realistic customer review sections at the bottom of the page.
Oh, the fake reviews are a huge part of it.
And they look identical to the native review interfaces you're used to seeing. Stars, verified buyer tags, everything.
And then, after all that, they deploy the psychological accelerant, the cherry on top of the illusion.
Artificial urgency.
Yes.
Right, the fake limited time offer timers.
Those timers are lethal.
You land on the site that looks exactly like Zara or Nike, and right at the top is a massive banner with digital clock ticking down by the second.
Right.
Flash sale ends in 04 minutes, 12 seconds, 11 seconds, 10 seconds.
That ticking clock is just a masterstroke of psychological manipulation.
Really? How so?
Because even if a tiny part of your brain notices that the URL looks a little weird, maybe you subconsciously register the hyphen, that ticking timer induces a mild state of panic.
Oh, the FOMO kicks in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It creates a massive artificial sense of urgency that forces you to prioritize speed over accuracy.
Wow.
Your brain shifts from, is this site legitimate, to, I have to get my credit card before this deal vanishes.
So let's trace the user journey here. The trap is set, the movie set is fully constructed, the timer is ticking, and the listener proceeds to the checkout. The notes detail this what happens next sequence, and, well, it is universally grim.
Very grim.
You enter your shipping address, your name, and critically, your payment information. You hit submit order. What actually happens behind the curtain?
The absolute best case scenario, and I use the term best case very, very loosely here, is that weeks later, a package finally arrives from overseas.
Okay.
And it contains a shockingly cheap, poorly manufactured duplicate of the item, or sometimes an entirely wrong item altogether. You ordered a leather jacket, you receive a plastic wallet.
Which is infuriating. I mean, it's a terrible customer experience, but at least you got something, right?
Right. But the worst case scenario, which is increasingly common, is much darker.
What happens?
No product arrives at all. Never.
Nothing.
Nothing. Because the core objective wasn't just to steal $100 for a fake jacket.
Oh, no.
Because you typed your credit card details directly into a database controlled by the scammer, your financial information is now completely compromised.
You essentially walked onto the movie set and handed your wallet directly to the pickpockets.
Precisely. That data is then either used for immediate fraudulent purchases across the web, or it's bundled and sold on the dark web to other criminal syndicates.
Okay, but let me jump in and push back on this for a second. Because if these operations are really this sophisticated, if the logos are high-res, The layout is a pixel-perfect clone, the reviews look real, and our brains naturally take these visual shortcuts to save energy. How on earth is the average person supposed to spot the difference?
It's tough.
I mean, we aren't all certified cybersecurity experts. I don't know how to analyze the source code of a web page or trace an IP address back to a server farm in another country.
Right, nobody does that casually.
If the illusion is that good, aren't we just sitting ducks?
It's a completely valid frustration, and it's exactly why the notes pivot from the anatomy of the scam to a very clear, actionable set of defense mechanisms.
Okay, good. We need defense.
You don't have to be a cybersecurity expert. You just have to train yourself to look for the cracks in the movie set. You have to build a mental speed bump.
A speed bump to force the brain out of that passive scrolling stit.
Exactly. Before you enter any payment information, you must consciously force yourself to do a few basic checks.
That's the first one.
First, and most importantly, you have to carefully check the URL spelling.
Right.
Look specifically for those visual substitutions. A 0 instead of an O, a number 1 instead of a lowercase l, or the addition of hyphens and extra words.
Right.
Think about it. Does a multi-billion-dollar, globally recognized brand like Nike need to call its official website NikeClearance-super-store.com?
No, they're just Nike. They own Nike.com. They don't need clutter.
Precisely. The clutter is the camouflage.
That makes a lot of sense.
Second, the notes advise looking for HTTPS in the web address, which is usually indicated by that little padlock icon in the browser bar.
Ah, the padlock. We always hear about that.
Right, but we need to be nuanced here.
How so?
Many modern scammers have figured out how to obtain standard SSL security certificates.
So they have the padlock, too.
Yes. So seeing the padlock does not automatically mean the site is safe anymore.
Okay, good to know.
However, the absence of it if your browser warns you the connection is not secure is an absolute glaring red flag. You immediately close the tab.
That makes sense. It's a baseline requirement, not a gold seal of approval.
Exactly.
What else are we looking for in terms of cracks in the facade?
Look at the footer of the website. Look for the lack of proper contact details.
It's a footer. Okay.
If an allegedly massive multinational brand only offers a generic free email address like customerservice123@gmail.com for support, or if there's no physical corporate address listed anywhere on the site, you are almost certainly on a fake site.
Because real companies have physical infrastructure. They have real phone numbers.
Exactly. And there's another really interesting mechanical tell mentioned in the material regarding how they actually take your money.
What is it?
These fake sites almost universally only offer prepaid options.
Prepaid only.
Right. They will demand a credit card, a debit card, or a direct bank transfer. They will completely lack a cash-on-delivery or COD option.
Why is that a tell?
That's a structural necessity for the scammer. They need your money cleared, processed, and deposited into their accounts long before you realize the physical product isn't coming.
Oh, because if they offered SIA...
If they offered SIA, they would be sending out empty boxes and getting nothing in return.
Yeah.
They require upfront payment to complete the grift.
Wow. So the lack of SIA is a huge warning sign on an unknown site.
Absolutely.
So the safe behavior prescribed by our source material is actually remarkably simple, and it comes down to taking control of the navigation.
Right.
Do not trust direct links provided in random emails, text messages, or pop-up ads.
Never.
If you are browsing the web and see a banner ad for a massive Amazon sale that catches your eye, do not click the banner.
Right. Don't click it.
Close the ad, open a brand new browser window, and manually type Amazon.com into the search bar yourself, or search the brand manually on a trusted search engine.
It's about breaking the chain of redirection.
Right.
If the sale is real, if Nike truly is having a massive 70% off clearance event, it will be prominently displayed right there on their actual verified homepage.
You don't need a secret backdoor link to find a legitimate sale.
Exactly. Navigate to the platform yourself.
Okay, so that thoroughly covers the digital clones. Those fake websites are essentially passive traps.
Yeah, they just sit there.
They are hunting blinds set up in the digital wilderness, waiting for you to stumble in through a bad Google search or a misleading link.
Right.
But the source material immediately shifts focus to a completely different tactic. Scammers don't just sit back and wait for you to come to them.
No, they do not.
They actively hunt you where you go to relax. We are moving from the deceptive storefront to the hyper-targeted billboard social media ads, with the notes specifically zeroing in on Instagram ad scams.
And this is where the psychology of the scam gets even more insidious.
Why is that?
Because it leverages the environment against you. When you are on Instagram or TikTok or any social media platform, your psychological guard is remarkably low.
Because you're just chilling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Think about your mindset when you're scrolling. You are looking at photos of your cousin's new baby, a video of a golden retriever doing a trick, maybe a lifestyle post from your favorite actor.
It's fun. It's light.
Right. Your brain is entrenched in an entertainment and social connection mode. It is a highly relaxed, trusting state.
Yeah, you're not in defense mode.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, seamlessly, perfectly formatted to look exactly like the posts from your friends,
Yeah.
a beautifully polished advertisement is inserted directly into your feed.
And the notes give us the exact playbook they use to hook you in that relaxed state. They push incredibly attractive products at insanely low prices.
Yep.
The specific examples provided in the text are classics of the genre. Branded shoes at 999 rupees, a brand new iPhone for 10,000 rupees, or the ever-popular, emotionally charged, closing sale bankruptcy liquidations. Everything must go today.
They are targeting that exact intersection of desire and perceived scarcity.
And just like the fake websites we just discussed, they don't just throw up a single text ad.
No, they build an entire world around it.
Exactly. They build an entire immersive ecosystem around this single advertisement to manufacture legitimacy. They create fake brand profile pages on the platform.
Yep.
They populate those pages with a grid of stolen, highly professional product images. And crucially, they fabricate customer reviews in the comments of their own posts to simulate a thriving, beloved business.
Right.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me because it taps into something so primal, the social proof manipulation.
Oh, this is a huge factor.
Scammers have realized they don't just need to fake the product anymore. They have to fake the crowd buying the product.
Hey.
As social creatures, we are hardwired to look to the group for cues on how to behave. If we see a post for those 999 rupee shoes and it has 4,000 likes
Right.
and a comment section full of people saying, "Wow, best purchase ever," or "Fast shipping, quality is amazing, highly recommend," our brain uses that as a massive overriding shortcut for trust.
We absolutely do.
We think, well, if all these other people bought it and are happy, it must be safe. I'd be foolish not to buy it.
It's the digital equivalent of walking down a street in a new city and looking for a place to eat.
Okay, I love this analogy.
If you see one restaurant that is completely empty and another restaurant next door with a line of people waiting out the door, you automatically assume the restaurant with the line has better food.
Of course.
You trust the crowd. But in this digital scenario, the scammers have literally bought the line.
Wait, bought the line?
Yeah, they use automated bots, click farms, and coordinated networks of fake accounts to artificially inflate the likes, the views, and the positive engagement. It's a manufactured crowd.
That is just wild.
But the illusion isn't perfect, right?
Right. The source material gives us the exact red flags to look for to dismantle this fake social proof. So, let's play this out.
Okay.
I'm scrolling, I see the ad for the 10,000 rupee iPhone. The crowd looks good, but I decide to be skeptical. I click on the profile of this brand. If it's a scam, what am I actually going to see when that profile loads?
You are going to see a facade with no history.
No history.
First, look at the account's age and follower count. Is it a brand new account that was seemingly created a few weeks ago? Does it have suspiciously few followers for a brand that is supposedly running a massive nationwide clearance sale?
Right. If you are liquidating a warehouse of iPhones, you probably have more than like 140 followers.
Exactly. Next, look at the content grid itself. Are there only a handful of posts, and are they all purely promotional graphics pushing this single sale?
Yeah.
A real breathing brand has a history. They have an archive.
Right.
They have behind-the-scenes content, photos of their staff, interactions with real customers, a timeline of posts that stretches back months or years showing organic growth.
A scam account doesn't have time for that.
No, a scam account often looks like it sprang into existence yesterday, entirely fully formed, because it usually did.
And the notes highlight one specific, undeniable red flag on these posts that is so glaring it should instantly stop you in your tracks, no questions asked.
Oh, yeah.
Comments turned off.
Yes. This is perhaps the most vital indicator of social media fraud. What's fascinating here is that disabling comments is a highly aggressive, counterintuitive move for any legitimate retail business.
Right, because social media is, by definition, meant to be social.
Exactly. Brands spend millions of dollars on marketing agencies trying to figure out how to encourage comments, spark conversations, and drive engagement on their posts.
Because the algorithm rewards engagement.
Right. So if an account running a paid advertisement has intentionally gone into the settings and disabled the ability for anyone to comment on that post, you have to stop and ask yourself, why would they silence their own audience?
It's literally like locking the doors of a physical store so the angry, wronged customers trapped inside can't warn the new people trying to come in off the street.
That is exactly what it is.
If the scammers leave the comments open on that Instagram ad, the people who were scammed by the ad last week will eventually find it and flood the post with warnings.
This is a scam.
Do not buy from that.
I ordered 3 weeks ago and never got my shoes. They stole my money.
Right. So the scammers simply silence the room. They turn off the comments, leaving only their pristine, stolen images, their fake likes, and their fabricated urgency.
It is an act of digital quarantine. They are protecting their trap from the truth.
But I have a broader question about this, something that I think a lot of people struggle with.
Okay, what is it?
Since these ads are being served directly to us inside the Instagram app or the Facebook app right alongside actual photos of our real-world friends and family, does that physical proximity on our phone screen artificially inflate our trust in the ad?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, do we implicitly trust the platform's vetting process? We think, well, Instagram showed this to me, so it must be a real company.
Yes, and that is a very dangerous assumption. There is a massive halo effect provided by the platform.
A halo effect.
Right. You assume, subconsciously, that a multi-billion-dollar tech behemoth with thousands of engineers wouldn't allow a literal criminal to purchase ad space and run a scam on their highly moderated network.
Exactly. You assume someone at headquarters checked their business license or something.
But they don't.
Not at all.
Not in the way you think. The reality is that the ad approval process on these massive networks is largely automated by algorithms. Millions of new ads are submitted across the globe every single day.
So human eyes aren't looking at these.
Rarely. And scammers know exactly how these algorithms work. They are constantly finding new ways to slip through the automated filters, get their ad live, run their scam at maximum volume for a few days, take the money, and then burn the account and disappear long before human moderators or user reports ever catch up to them.
It is a perpetual game of digital whack-a-mole.
It really is. You absolutely cannot rely on the platform itself to protect you. The platform is just the billboard. They aren't verifying the business behind the ad.
So the actionable takeaway here at your personal defense mechanism is hypervigilance. You have to be the moderator.
Yes, you do.
Always check the profile's age, check the follower count, look at their posting history to see if it's a ghost town. And if the comments are disabled, treat it as an immediate blaring warning siren.
The source material is unequivocal on this. Never trust social media ads blindly.
Never.
If you see a product in an ad that you genuinely want, and the price seems reasonable enough to be true, you still don't click the ad.
Right.
You close the app, you open a web browser, and you search for product reviews outside of that social media ecosystem.
See what the rest of the internet says.
Exactly. See what independent voices, tech blogs, or forum users on the broader internet are saying about that specific company name. If the only place this company seems to exist is inside an Instagram ad, it's a phantom.
Okay, if we take a step back and look at the bigger picture, both of the major scams we've explored so far, the pixel-perfect fake websites and the hyper-targeted Instagram ads, they rely on one crucial vulnerability.
Which is?
You making a digital payment before the product arrives. You input your credit card details, you authorize the UPI transfer, the money instantly leaves your account, and you are left sitting there crossing your fingers hoping a package actually shows up.
Right. In both scenarios, you are extending all the trust up front.
Which leads a perfectly logical, cautious listener to think, okay, I see the digital risk, I see the trap, so I'll just outsmart the system entirely. I'm not going to pay online at all. I will only use cash on delivery. I won't hand over a single rupee or dollar until the physical product is literally sitting in my hands on my front porch.
It seems like the perfect foolproof defense. It feels grounded in the physical world.
Exactly. It feels like taking back control. But this is where the source material takes a truly fascinating and honestly somewhat dark turn.
Yeah, this part is rough.
We are now going to explore the physical betrayal. We need to look at how scammers have evolved to outsmart the outsmart adders.
Right.
They have managed to weaponize the very system that was specifically designed to protect the consumer cash on delivery or CD fraud.
This is a particularly devastating type of scam, precisely because it completely exploits your feeling of safety.
Right.
With a fake website, you might feel a twinge of anxiety when you hit pay. With Keydi, you feel zero anxiety.
None at all.
Let's break down the mechanics of the CD fraud cycle, exactly as it's outlined in the notes, because Understanding the logistics is key to understanding the trap. It starts just like any other transaction. You see an ad for that 10,000 rupee iPhone. Maybe the website looks slightly unknown, but right there in bold letters it says, cash on delivery available.
Which immediately disarms you. You think, well, if it's a scam, they wouldn't offer FOD. They can't steal my money if I don't give it to them until I see the phone.
Right. So you place the order.
Your money is still safe in your pocket.
A few days go by. Then, a legitimate delivery agent arrives at your door. They are wearing a uniform from a known, reputable courier company.
So it looks completely real.
The parcel is right there in their hands. It is a real shipping label. It has your name printed on it. It has the correct weight. Everything feels incredibly real and legitimate.
Yeah.
You hand the cash to the delivery agent, or perhaps you scan their logistics company UPI QR code to make the payment directly to the courier on the spot.
The transaction is complete.
Exactly. The delivery agent marks the package as successfully delivered in their handheld device, hands you the sealed box, and turns to walk back to their truck.
And then you open it.
Right.
This is the moment of devastating reveal. You take the box inside, you cut the tape, you open the cardboard flaps, expecting the sleek packaging of an iPhone.
But it's not.
No. And inside is not the 10,000 rupee iPhone. The notes detail exactly what victims find. You might find a remarkably cheap plastic knockoff toy phone.
Yeah.
You might find a used, broken device. Or, in the most brazen and insulting cases, you find an entirely empty box.
Sometimes the scammers just fill it with literal rocks.
Rocks.
Or scraps of heavy paper, just to ensure the package has the correct shipping weight so it passes through the logistics network without raising suspicion.
That is just evil.
And here is the core mechanical reason why this specific scam is so incredibly dangerous and why it's so hard to undo.
Why?
By the time you open that box, cut through the bubble wrap, and realize you've been defrauded by a box of rocks, the payment has already been legally completed.
Because you handed the money to a third-party delivery agent.
Exactly.
But wait, let me challenge this scenario, because I guarantee this is what anyone listening is immediately wondering.
Sure, if the delivery agent is literally still walking down my driveway or standing right there on my porch while I open the box and I pull out a rock,
Right.
why can't I just yell, hey, wait, hand the box back to them and say, give me my money back? This is an obvious scam.
It's a completely natural, logical human reaction.
Yeah.
But it fundamentally misunderstands the rigid, legally binding, transactional nature of logistics networks.
Okay, explain that.
That delivery agent does not work for the scammer who sold you the phone.
Right.
They work for a legitimate third-party logistics or courier company. Their explicit contractual mandate was simply to transport a sealed box from point A, the seller's warehouse, to point B, your house.
And collect the money.
Exactly, and collect the designated funds upon handover. They are just the middlemen doing their job.
They are essentially an armored car driver for a box.
Precisely. Once the cash changes hands and the agent scans that barcode as delivered in their system, that specific transaction is legally closed on their end.
The courier company's mandate is fulfilled. The agent standing on your porch is not a customer service representative for the seller.
Right.
They are not authorized, nor do they have the technical ability in their system to process a refund on the spot because of a dispute over the box's contents.
So they literally can't do anything.
The money you just handed them is now securely in the logistics company's financial system, automatically programmed to be routed and deposited into the seller's account.
So if the driver just hands you your cash back out of sympathy...
If the delivery agent gives you that cash back, the system still registers the package as delivered and paid for.
Oh, man.
That agent is now personally liable for that missing money at the end of their shift. It comes out of their paycheck.
Yeah.
They simply cannot do it. They have to leave.
That is brutal. It's exactly like a magic trick. The scammer uses the physical box as a prop, a distraction.
Yes.
You feel incredibly safe holding the physical cardboard. You feel the weight of it. You think, I have the item. I am in control.
Right.
But the prestige of the trick, the terrifying moment you realize you've been completely fooled, is meticulously engineered to only happen after the magician has already left the building.
It's brilliant in a very dark way.
Or in this specific case, after the money has legally changed hands to a proxy who is powerless to help you.
And once that delivery truck drives away, the trap snaps entirely shut.
Because the seller is gone.
Exactly. As the notes point out, the seller instantly becomes unreachable. The phone number listed on that slightly unknown website is disconnected or rings endlessly.
the customer support email bounces back as undeliverable.
Right. And because it was an unverified website to begin with, there is absolutely no legitimate return portal, no buyer protection guarantee, no refund system in place.
You are left standing in your living room holding a box of rocks.
And your money is gone, effectively laundered right through a legitimate, trusted courier service.
It's a brilliant, terrible exploitation of a trusted system. So, how do we spot this? If the website looks okay and the delivery guy is real, what are the signs we can look for before handing over the cash?
Well, the notes point to a few common indicators. Usually this happens with unknown, unverified websites that only seem to offer CARD, or they push it heavily as their main selling point.
Right.
There is a distinct lack of comprehensive return policies listed anywhere in the site's footer. There is zero accessible customer support.
Okay.
And sometimes if you look closely at the package when the driver hands it to you, the packaging itself looks suspicious. It might look cheap, or the tape might look tampered with before you even open it.
Which brings us to perhaps the most crucial, actionable takeaway for anyone who orders via cash on delivery.
Yes.
The source material explicitly labels this action as very important.
It really is.
If you are receiving a COD package from a site you don't implicitly trust, you must record a continuous video while opening the parcel.
Yes.
Explain exactly what that means in practice.
It means before you reach for the scissors or the box cutter, you take out your phone and hit record. Do not cut a single piece of tape until your phone is rolling.
Okay.
You start by showing the shipping label clearly in the video so the tracking number is legible.
Got it.
You pan the camera around to show the sealed edges, proving the box hasn't been opened yet.
To show it hasn't been tampered with by you.
Exactly. And then, without stopping the recording, you film the entire physical process of cutting the tape, opening the flaps, and revealing the contents inside.
Why is that specific continuous uncut action so vital? Why isn't just a photo of the rocks enough?
Because if you do get scammed, your only possible recourse is to immediately contact the logistics company, the courier, who just drove away, and file an emergency fraud dispute.
To try and stop the payment.
Right, to try and freeze those funds in their system before they are transferred to the scammer's bank account.
Okay.
But if you just call the courier and say, hey, I opened the box and it was empty, the courier company has a massive liability problem.
Because they don't know who is lying.
Exactly. They have no way of knowing that you aren't the one trying to run a scam. They might think you took the iPhone out, put rocks in, and are now trying to keep the phone and get your money back.
Ah, right. It's your word against the seller's.
Exactly. That unbroken continuous video is your undeniable, verified digital proof that the fraud occurred before the box was ever opened by you.
Wow.
It proves the box arrived that way. It is the only piece of concrete evidence that can potentially trigger a security freeze on that transaction within the logistics network. Without the video, your money is gone.
Wow. Okay, let's take a breath and zoom out. We have covered a massive amount of ground here.
We really have.
We've explored the passive digital clones with the fake websites. We've looked at the active social media illusions with the Instagram ads.
Yep.
And we've just unpacked the physical, real-world box tricks of SOV fraud. We've seen the specific mechanics of how these scammers operate in different environments.
Right.
Now, we need to look at the unifying thread connecting all of these distinct frauds. We need to talk about the exploitation of human desire itself.
This is where we arrive at what the notes refer to as the core algorithm.
The core algorithm.
It's the fundamental equation that powers every single one of these scams, regardless of the medium. It's listed prominently in our source material as the golden rule.
Too good to be true equals scam.
Yes,
It sounds so simple, almost like a cliche your grandfather would tell you.
it does, but it's true.
But the notes reiterate these absurd pricing examples that should theoretically trigger immediate blaring alarm bells in our heads.
Right.
An iPhone at 10,000 rupees? Nike shoes at 500 rupees? A luxury branded watch at 999 rupees.
Yeah.
The source's ruling on this is absolute. It says it's almost always fake. There is no secret warehouse liquidation. There is no magical factory direct loophole.
And yet, despite knowing this on a logical level, millions of highly intelligent, educated people fall for these exact prices every single year.
That's true.
The global fraud statistics are staggering.
So what does this all mean? If we know an iPhone doesn't cost 10,000 rupees, why do we click the ad? Why do we override our own common sense and pull out our credit cards?
This is where we reach the final advice section of the notes, which elegantly breaks down the triad of psychological hacking.
Okay, let's break it down.
These scammers are not just digital thieves. They are master manipulators of three very specific emotional states: greed, urgency, and trust.
Greed, urgency, trust.
Exactly. To understand why we fall for it, we have to look at each one. Let's start with greed.
Okay.
Why does a 10,000 rupee iPhone short-circuit our logic? Because human beings are biologically wired to seek out resource advantages.
It's an evolutionary trait.
Exactly. When we see a massive discount, our brain's reward center lights up. We get an actual chemical hit of dopamine.
So we physically feel good seeing the deal.
We feel like we've uncovered a secret. We feel like we are outsmarting the system. We think everyone else is paying full price, but I found the loophole. The immense desire for the deal completely overrides the prefrontal cortex, the logical part of the brain that knows Apple simply does not sell phones at a 90% discount. The dopamine drowns out the logic.
It's the thrill of the hunt. We want the deal to be true so badly that we willingly suspend our own disbelief.
Yeah.
We invent narratives to justify it. Oh, maybe it's last year's model, or maybe they ordered too many and have to clear warehouse space.
We do the scammers' work for them by rationalizing the impossible price.
That is so true.
But greed alone isn't always enough to make you pull out your credit card. Even with dopamine flooding your system, you might still hesitate.
Right, you might pause.
You might think, I should Google this first, or let me ask my spouse.
Yeah.
That hesitation is the scammer's worst enemy.
They can't let you pause.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is exactly where the second pillar of manipulation comes in, which is urgency.
The fake timers.
Yes.
The closing sale, everything must go today messaging. The bright red limited stock warning saying only 2 items left in your size.
Right. Urgency is designed to trigger a fear of missing out, commonly known as FOMO. But it's deeper than just internet slang.
How so?
Evolutionarily, when resources were scarce in the wild, if you didn't act quickly when food or shelter was available, you didn't survive.
Oh, wow.
Scammers weaponized this ancient, deeply ingrained biological response. Those fake timers and low stock warnings create a state of artificial panic.
They spike your adrenaline.
They spike your adrenaline just enough to make you feel like if you don't click buy now this very second, you will lose this incredible, once-in-a-lifetime resource forever.
It creates a tunnel vision.
Precisely. Urgency is a tool designed specifically to prevent you from pausing, taking a deep breath, and doing the logical research that would expose the scam. It forces action over analysis.
Which brings us to the final stabilizing pillar of the triad.
Trust.
Right. Because even with the dopamine hit of greed and the adrenaline spike of urgency, you still wouldn't hand over your credit card if you thought you were dealing with a sketchy back alley criminal.
No, your self-preservation instincts would still kick in.
Right.
So, to neutralize that final defense, they steal the mask of trusted friend. They steal the logo of Amazon or Zara. They copy the exact font Apple uses.
Yeah.
They populate the page with fake reviews that look exactly like the reviews you've relied on for years.
They hack your inherent learned trust in familiar branding to completely bypass your natural skepticism.
They wrap a massive lie in a comfortable, familiar truth.
So, if the notes are correct and simply staying calm, pausing, and verifying information avoids 90% of these scams.
Right.
Why is it so incredibly hard for us to just stay calm in the moment?
Because in that moment of checkout, you are not just fighting a web page. You are fighting against millions of years of human evolution that is screaming at you to grab the high-value resource before it disappears.
You are fighting your own biology.
And this is exactly why the source material provides a quick safety checklist. It isn't just a list of chores. It is designed to act as a literal cognitive pause button.
It is a tool to force your rational brain back online before you hit buy.
It's about building a mental speed bump.
Let's translate that checklist into a set of internal questions, a habit you need to build every time you shop online.
Okay,
Ask yourself these 5 questions before any purchase you aren't 100% sure about.
go for it.
Number 1, is the website trusted? Have I actually looked at the URL bar or did I just look at the logo?
Crucial.
Number 2, are reviews real and available outside the site? Have I opened a new tab and Googled the company name alongside the word scam?
Very important.
Number 3, is the price realistic? Does this align with the golden rule or is it too good to be true?
Usually it is.
Number 4, is there proper contact and support information? A real physical corporate address and a working phone number, not just a web form.
Right.
And number 5, perhaps the most important psychological check of all. Am I being rushed to buy? Is there an artificial timer, a ticking clock, or a pressure tactic trying to force my hand?
And the notes emphasize a final absolute rule regarding this mental checklist.
What is it?
It is a hard boundary. If the answer to any of those questions is NO, you LOPS-OP,
Stop.
you close the tab,
Yeah.
you put your phone down,
Yeah.
you walk away. You do not proceed with the transaction.
It has to be a hard boundary. If any answer is NO, S stop P. No rationalizing, no. Well, maybe just this once.
Precisely.
Mhm.
Because the very moment you start ignoring a no on that list, the moment you try to justify the red flags, you are stepping out of the realm of logical commerce.
And stepping directly into the psychological trap they have perfectly set for you.
Exactly.
We have covered a truly massive amount of ground today.
We really have.
We've seen how these digital predators don't need to write complex code to break into our computers. They just need to break down our patience.
Right.
From URLs with incredibly subtle, almost invisible spelling errors, to Instagram comments being maliciously disabled to silence victims, and even the false security of handing cash directly to a delivery driver, the traps are everywhere.
Everywhere.
But they all rely on one singular vulnerability.
Us rushing the process.
Exactly. They rely on us letting our guard down and allowing greed, urgency, and misplaced trust to take the wheel.
The source material lays it out perfectly. They don't hack systems, they hack human psychology.
Yeah.
And spending this much time analyzing these notes leaves me with a final, lingering thought based strictly on how this material describes the manipulation of trust.
Yes, the thought.
The notes make it abundantly clear that scammers are masterfully hacking our trust by perfectly mimicking the brands we love. The logos, the layouts, the aesthetics, they can all be perfectly, flawlessly cloned.
Right.
As these digital illusions become increasingly perfect, entirely indistinguishable from reality to the naked eye, it raises a fascinating question for the future of how we interact with commerce.
Okay.
Will the ultimate luxury in online shopping no longer be the brand name item itself, but simply the undeniable, verified proof that the person selling it to you is actually real?
Now that is a terrifying and incredibly relevant thought to leave you with.
It makes you think.
The real luxury is just knowing you aren't standing on a movie set. Stay vigilant out there, force yourself to take a breath before you buy, and always look for the cracks in the facade.